Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Shri Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai We're reading from Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita, chapter entitled The Dream Comes True. Bhaktivedanta Swami went out alone to sell his books and present them to important people. Dr. Radha Krishnan, who gave him a personal audience, agreed to read the book and write his opinion. Hanuman Prasad Poddar was the first to write a favorable review. It is a source of great pleasure for me that a long cherished dream has materialized and is going to be materialized with this and the would-be publications. I thank the Lord that due to his grace, this publication could see the light. Bhaktivedanta Swami went to the major libraries, universities and schools in Delhi, where the librarians found him calm and quiet, noble, polite, scholarly, with a specific glow in him. Traveling on foot, he visited school administration offices throughout Delhi and placed copies in more than 40 schools in the Delhi area. The Ministry of Education, which had previously denied him assistance, placed an order for 50 copies for selected universities and institutional libraries throughout India. The ministry paid him 600 rupees plus packing and postage charges, and Bhaktivedanta Swami mailed the books to the designated libraries. The US Embassy purchased 18 copies to be distributed in America through the Library of Congress. The institutional sales were brisk, but then sales slowed. As the only agent, Bhaktivedanta Swami was now spending hours just to sell a few copies. He was eager to print the second volume, yet until enough money came from the first, he could not print. In the meantime, he continued translating and writing purports. Writing so many volumes was a huge task that would take many years, and at his present rate, with sales so slow, he would not be able to complete the work in his lifetime. Although there were many who took part in the production of the book, and still others who became customers, only Bhaktivedanta Swami deeply experienced the success and failures of the venture. It was his project, and he was responsible. No one was eager to see him writing prolifically, and no one demanded that it be printed. Even when the sales slowed to a trickle, the managers of OK Press were not distressed. They would give him the balance of his book, and when he paid for them, only when he paid for them. And since it was also he who had the burden of hiring OK Press to print a second volume, the pressure was on him to go out and sell as many copies of the first volume as possible. For Hanuman Prasad Poddar, the volume had been something to admire in passing. For Hatsuran Sharma, it had been something he had tended to after his day's work for Mr. Dalmia. For the boy who lived at Chippiwada, the book had meant a few errands for the paper dealers. It had meant a small order. For Dr. Radhakrishnan, it had been but the slightest, soon forgotten matter in a life crammed with national politics and Hindu philosophizing. But Bhaktivedanta Swami, by his full engagement in producing the Bhagavatam, felt bliss and assurance that Krishna was pleased. He did not, however, intend for the Bhagavatam to be his private affair. It was the sorely needed medicine for the ills of Kali Yuga, and it was not possible for only one man to administer it. Yet he was alone, and he felt exclusive pleasure and satisfaction in serving his Guru and Lord Krishna. Thus, his transcendental frustration and pleasure mingled, his will strengthened, and he continued alone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sarvasastra Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarvasrantara Nadya Savalaikaika Tripada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular food of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths. You are the only giver of sight to all the world. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Shrimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvanto Dita Ditya Shri Krishna Paravartita. O life of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali, you are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Premavashakshara Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishna Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read, your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone, for you are Sri Krishna himself. Madekabando Matsangin Mukuru Mamahadana Manustaraka Madhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asaru Asaruta Dayin Atin Ishtoshtakara Anamajagada Chinmam Premna Hritkantayospura. I bestow saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter the most fallen. Please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So today, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, entitled Prithvi Maharaj Going Back Home. Text number 16. Kanya kashe drivangto ye yatastanang vibhagashaha shittam ambhasi tat tejas yadovayo nabhasyamum. Kanya kashe drivangto ye yatastanang vibhagashaha shittim ambhasi tat tejas yadovayo nabhasyamum. Kanya kashe drivangto ye yatastanam vibhagashaha shittim ambhasi tat tejas yadovayo nabhasyamam. Word for word. Kani, the different holes in the body of the sense organs. Akashe, in the sky. Dravam, the liquid substance. Toye, in the water. Yatastanam, according to proper situation. Vibhagasha, as they are divided. Chitim, earth. Ambhasi, in the water. Tat, that. Tejasi, in the fire. Ada, the fire. Vayo, in the air. Nabasi, in the sky. Amum, that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. In this way, according to the different positions of the various parts of the body, Prithu Maharaj merged the wholes of his senses with the sky. His bodily liquids, such as blood and various secretions, with the totality of water, and he merged earth with water, then water with fire, fire with air, air with sky, and so on. Purport. In this verse, two words are very important. Yatastanam vibhagasha. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter, Lord Brahma clearly explains to Narada how the creation took place. And he explained one step after another the proper divisions of the senses, the controller of the senses, the object of the senses, and the material elements. And he also explained how they are created one after another. The air from the sky, the fire from the air, the water from the fire, the earth from the water, etc. It is important to know thoroughly the process of creation as it applies to this cosmic manifestation. Similarly, this body is also created according to the same process by the Supreme Lord. The personality of Godhead, after entering the universe, creates the cosmic manifestation one after another. Similarly, the living entity, after entering a womb of a mother, also collects his gross and subtle bodies, taking ingredients from the totality of sky, air, fire, water, and earth. The words yatastanam vibhagashaha indicates that one should know the process of creation and should meditate upon the creative process inversely and thus become free from material contamination. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Mukam karoti vatalam pangun lagaite garim yakripatamaham vande Shri Gurun dinataranam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're hearing how Prithu Maharaj is voluntarily giving up his body. We should understand that Prithu Maharaj has gone to the forest. He's perfected the yoga process. He's entered samadhi. And at this stage, he is voluntarily giving up his body. So as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we do not so much care for this process of voluntarily giving up the body. Unless that is, of course, that the body becomes completely and utterly useless for devotional service. We find in the Shastra, actually, yes, we find in the Shastra, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Sanatana Goswami, he saw that experienced that his body was completely riddled with disease after contracting this horrible disease when traveling through the forest to Jagannath Puri, and sores all over his body. He was he was wanting to commit suicide because he saw himself as committing offenses, and that he couldn't properly engage in devotional service to the Lord. We also find that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was also wanting to take his own life. When Lord Chaitanya left this world with Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami saw that there's no point in me staying here now that the Lord of my life has left. So therefore he went to Vrindavan to jump off Govardhan Hill, which is a bona fide way for Vaishnavas to commit suicide, to leave their body. But when he got to Vrindavan, he met Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, and they embraced him and they accepted him as their brother and forbade him to commit suicide, to end his life. So these are two exceptions, but in general, the followers of Lord Chaitanya, they don't like to voluntarily give up their body. Why is that? Paradukha-dukhi, that the followers of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's mission is a preaching mission. It's a preaching movement. And the Vaishnav naturally feels distress at seeing the distress of the conditioned souls in this material world. So they want to stay for as long as possible to help conditioned souls, to make advancements and to ultimately go back home, back to Godhead. As we see in the life and passing of Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, that he stayed with us. He stayed in this material world until he died of, it passed away of natural causes. He showed, I know another reason why the preachers of Lord Chaitanya want to pass away of natural causes rather than voluntarily giving up the body, is that they want to show by example the proper way on how to give up their body by always constantly chanting Hare Krishna and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the time of death and showing that to others. And we see in Srila Prabhupada's departure that up until his very last breath, he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy names of the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra. Some years ago, I was on traveling Sankirtan in Hawke's Bay, and the devotee that I was traveling with, his mother lived in Hawke's Bay, and we stayed at her house. And his mother, she worked in a hospice, and over her 20-year career, she had helped hundreds of elderly people leave their bodies. Hundreds. And she watched the film called The Final Lesson, the film that shows Srila Prabhupada leaving this world. And she said that everything about Srila Prabhupada's passing was otherworldly. She said she's never seen anything like it. You know, the fact that he was still translating the Srimad Bhagavatam in the condition that he was in. And she said, most notably, one of the extraordinary things about Srila Prabhupada's passing was that she'd noticed when she's been assisting elderly persons pass away in this hospice she works at, that very soon after death, this thing called rigor mortis sets in. It's where like the body starts to decay and the body goes very stiff. And she was saying that if they don't get the body in the right position, you know, then when rigor mortis sets in, then they can't actually get them in the coffin. You know, they won't fit in the coffin. So yeah, so this hardening of the muscles and the joints, it happens very soon after the passing of the soul from the body. But she noticed how when Srila Prabhupada was being put into samadhi, how his body was very limp and loose. And she said, this is not normal. It's not normal for a body to be like that. So Srila Prabhupada taught by example how a Vaishnava should act while he is alive. And he also taught us how the perfect departure from this world. This is the process of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, being a pure devotee, taught the process of Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami describes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu the characteristics of pure devotional service. Kleshagni Shubhada Moksha Laguta Krita Sudulava Sandrananda Visheshatma Shri Krishna Karshani. That Kleshagni, that pure devotional service it completely eradicates all material miseries. And it is Shubhada, is all auspicious. Now, in order for something to be all auspicious, there has to be 4 factors in place. It has to be beneficial for everyone. It has to attract everyone. It has to produce all good qualities. And oh yes, it bestows superior happiness. So with these 4 factors in mind, only something which is all auspicious has to contain these 4 things. And of course, that is pure devotional service. So these first two characteristics of pure devotional service, they pertain to sadhana bhakti. Then when one progresses to bhava bhakti, the next two characteristics of pure devotional service, moksha lagatakrita, that it completely derides the happiness of impersonal liberation. That a person in bhava bhakti sees the happiness of impersonal liberation to be completely insignificant. And impersonal liberation and, of course, sense gratification. And it is sudurlabha. It is rarely achieved. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved, especially in bhava bhakti. Why is that? Because at bhava bhakti, one cannot attain bhava bhakti by their own endeavor. And second of all, by their own endeavor, because it has to be, it can only be given by Krishna. And it is also rarely achieved because Krishna is reluctant to give it, because at bhava, one has the ability to control Krishna. And the next two characteristics of pure devotional service are Chandrananda Visheshatma Shri Krishna Akarshani. Chandrananda Visheshatma, that it is condensed bliss. It is described how that metal is extremely difficult, practically impossible to penetrate, because the molecular structure of metal is so dense. So Chandrananda is condensed bliss, that the happiness is so dense, that nothing else is described. How sense gratification is like, it's like it doesn't even exist to a prema bhakti or a premi bhakta. And then Sri Krishna Akarshani, that Krishna comes fully under the control of a prema bhakta. So it's very interesting how we hear in this verse how there are 3 different levels of happiness. that come from Shubhada or something that's all auspicious has to be superior to sense gratification or superior happiness to sense gratification. Then there's the happiness experienced in Bhava Bhakti, that one sees sense gratification and impersonal liberation as completely insignificant. And then there is the happiness derived at prema, prem, where the devotee is so absorbed in love of God that sense gratification doesn't even exist. It's not, they can't even comprehend it. Yeah. We also find in this verse how Krishna is described that he can come under the control of someone at the stage of bhava, a devotee at the stage of bhava, and he also comes under the control of someone at the stage of prema. So at the stage of bhava, that is when real love awakens within the heart. And that real love, that is attractive to Krishna. And the devotee can start to control Krishna in that way. But at the stage of prema, that a devotee has the ability to be able to control Krishna in a personal relationship, face to face in a personal relationship. So that's the difference there. And Srila Rupa Goswami also describes the definition of pure devotional service. The most important verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is that which defines pure devotional service. And Yabilashita Shunyam, Yanakamajinavritam Manikulyana Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. That this verse is called the Paribhasha Sutra. It is the verse, it is like the lens at which every other verse in the scripture should be looked at through. So this verse is the Paribhasha Sutra of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it describes the definition of pure devotional service. This verse, it has three primary characteristics, Rup Lakshana, and it has 3 secondary characteristics, Tatashta Lakshana. The first 3 primary characteristics are that it's pure devotional service is for Krishna and Krishna only. It's not it can't be applied to any jiva at all. So pure devotional service is for Krishna and Krishna only. Then it is also anukulyana, that it is favorably performed. Devotional service can be performed unfavorably, such as the example is given of Kamsa and Shishupal. With the processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Kamsa and Shishupal were always remembering Krishna. Shishupal was always chanting Krishna's names, but they was performed unfavorably. So anukulyana, that pure devotional service must be performed favorably. And then it is anushilana. Anushilana means that it's practical, active engagement. Pure devotional service is not just lip service, it's practical engagement. You show your love by action. They say actions speak louder than words. And then there are three secondary characteristics of pure devotional service. There's Anyabhilashita Shunya. That one, it should be free from ulterior motive. Jnana Kamad, and it should be free from jnana, from speculative philosophical knowledge and sense gratification. And then adi, all other processes, such as renunciation, such as yoga, like this. So these are the standard of pure devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada, by his example, he showed he was the living example of this verse. So on the topic of pure devotional service, today is the appearance day of Sri Vamana Dev. And I know His Holiness Bhakti Mukunda Maharaj will give a festival class this evening on this topic, but I just wanted to touch on two valuable lessons that we can take away with us, or at least one valuable lesson that we can take away with us from this pastime that I feel very inspired about. And that is Bali Maharaj, his tolerance. Bali Maharaj went through very, very severe test, very severe test. You know, he was sitting on Indra's throne. He had all the opulence of the heavenly planets. He had conquered the heavenly planets. He had, all the opulence of Indra. You know, he had the position of Indra. You know, he had his wife, his guru, like this. And when Vamana Dev cheated Bali Maharaj of everything he had, you know, he lost his position, he lost his wealth. His wife was rebuking him. His guru cursed him. You know, he went through all this tribulation, but still, Bali Maharaj was true to his word. He tolerated all these things, all these injustices. This is a very valuable lesson. You know, that at some stage in our devotional career, we're going to be put through severe tests, one way or another. And Bali Maharaj is a living example of tolerance, you know, and at the same time, not just tolerating, but surrendering to the Supreme Lord. He is the example given of Shastra of Atmanavedana, that fully surrendering his life, his soul, to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And because he did that, because he showed that level of tolerance, because he surrendered to the Lord in that way, therefore he is glorified in Srimad Bhagavatam for eternity. So I thought this is an extremely valuable lesson we can take from this pastime of Vamana Dev. So I'll end there. So I thank you all for your kind attention. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Haribo.